Hey everybody, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Folks, nothing new happening with the price of Bitcoin. We are still in no man's land, still consolidating, still chopping. So we got to give the market some more time. But today, well-known analyst Willy Woo, who's a Bitcoin OG, the man's been doing analysis on Bitcoin since like 2014. And he posted the following chart saying Bitcoin rallied to $124,500 and then down to $112,500, driven by liquidations. It's been overly speculative. The real question is, what are investors doing? The MCR, which is the macro cycle risk signal, is dropping, hinting at investor liquidity returning. If the trend continues, Bitcoin is in great shape to move higher. So one of the things I often share with you guys is on-chain data from Sentiment, which shows if Bitcoin whales are accumulating. So wallets with 10 or more Bitcoin, are they buying? And we've been seeing that trend since the dip. They've been buying. Well, here's another signal, the macro cycle risk, saying, hey, things are cooling down and liquidity is coming back. So we're going to find a bottom and keep moving. We know the cycle top's not in, right? Just in general, the market doesn't end this way. It usually ends when people are euphoric and they think it won't end. Because remember, the market does the opposite of the herd. So if the herd right now thinks, oh, the top is in, this thing is over, that's how the majority of investors feel, then you know the market's going to do the opposite. But when the majority of the herd is saying, oh man, this thing is going to keep going higher, nothing's stopping this bull market, you're an idiot for taking profits, right? That's when the market's going to do the opposite. How many times have we seen it? And we know the market is primarily driven by whales, and they are on the side of smart money. They buy the blood, fear, and depression, which I've been telling you guys to do, right? And then they sell the euphoric greed tops. The majority of retail investors, they do the opposite. They dump, they are scared at the bottom, and then they come buy the tops. They buy the pumps. And you would wonder, why aren't they researching and understanding these things? Well, it's because they haven't taken that next step in their journey. And we've all been there, including myself, to educate themselves. They just simply take their advice from TV, from Jim Cramer, and they become exit liquidity, or what markets call dumb money. Don't be part of dumb money, guys. Be part of smart money. So, guys, be patient. Things are setting up here. Multiple signals are telling us that there's more room to run here. Now, today, Tether minted another billion USDT. That's 2 billion in the past week. And if you look at USDT dominance, it's on its way up. And as I've been telling you guys, this is doing the inverse of the assets. The assets are bleeding and USDT dominance is rising, but that's good. The liquidity is building up again, and then it's going to start entering the market. Bitcoin and the altcoins will run. It's the same cyclical pattern we've been seeing over and over. And as I've been highlighting, I believe USDT dominance is going to break 4%, go down to maybe 3.5%. And that's a lot of liquidity that's going to enter the market. And that's where I believe we're going to see our euphoric blow off top. So I think as we head into September and October, it's going to be very, very exciting. And here, billionaire Bill Miller IV says 1% of the 60 trillion in global retirement accounts could add 30,000 to Bitcoin's price. He says he sees a 2% allocation as conservative. So that's interesting. Every 1%, he said, adds 30,000. So let's say 2% happens. That would be $60,000 plus the price right now. So we could say around 175K, maybe in that range, right? It could go higher. Now, what he's referencing is, of course, the United States, Trump signing an executive order opening up retirement accounts to invest in different assets, which includes crypto. Let me play a clip here for you about what he had to say on CNBC today.
There are 60 trillion worth of assets globally in retirement accounts with zero allocation right now to digital assets. Every 1% allocation from that 60 trillion adds $30,000 to Bitcoin's price. And so from my perspective, a 2% allocation would be conservative when you consider that all of those assets are currently in a monetary framework whose authorities have told you they want to depreciate it by 2% a year. So why wouldn't those accounts stake 2% of everything denominated in a melting ice cube and stick it in another protocol altogether. So again, that alone would take us to Bitcoin at 175K, or up more than 50% from here. We still think we are incredibly early. We're still seeing early signs of institutional adoption. You look at Norges, the world's largest sovereign wealth fund, almost 2 trillion in assets, has been increasing its exposure to Bitcoin digital assets. It's still a rounding error for them. But when the world's largest sovereign wealth fund, the world's largest endowment in Harvard is now buying Bitcoin, starts to do it, that opens up the door for all the other relevant parties, other endowments, other sovereign wealth funds to do this in a very interesting way.
So there you have it. Very interesting statements. And I think he's on point that, a lot of capital could come from the retirement accounts. And of course, it allows a lot of the endowments, pensions, and many other folks to participate in this asset class. And I think once the market structure bill is passed, it's going to be the big signal that a lot of the capital that has been sitting on the sidelines waiting for clarity to come in. And I think that could all lead once again to the blow off top. So very exciting news here. Now, look at this, folks. China is considering allowing yuan-backed stablecoins. We just yesterday talked about Japan launching a stablecoin on the Avalanche blockchain. So we are seeing game theory play out here. We know the United States has passed stablecoin legislation, the Genius Act, and many banks are going to launch their stablecoins. So you're seeing a big move towards stablecoins around the world. So China weighs yuan-backed stablecoins in major policy shift, according to Reuters. Let me give you the details. China, one of the most restrictive global jurisdictions for cryptocurrencies, is reportedly considering allowing Chinese yuan-backed stablecoins in what would be a major policy reversal. Chinese authorities may authorize yuan-backed stablecoins for the first time to promote global use of its currency, Reuters reported on Wednesday, citing sources familiar with the matter. If approved, China's plan for stablecoin use would mark a major shift in its approach to crypto after the country banned crypto trading and mining in September 2021. The news followed multiple reports suggesting that mainland China had been warming up to stablecoins amid a U.S. stablecoin push in 2025. So again, game theory, no one wants to get left behind. And this is the future of the markets and the economy. This is going to be the currency wars. It's going to play out in the stablecoin format. And of course, the US still has the world reserve currency. And now with legislation passed and with stablecoin issuers buying US debt, that is going to help solidify the US dollar's dominance as the world reserve currency. But China is not just going to sit on its hands. They're going to compete. And I've been hearing about China looking to insert its own digital yuan or CBDC in different markets and countries that it's helping to develop. So there's going to be a big geopolitical battle here, folks. But clearly, the technology is here to stay. There are people who still think blockchain is some fad, some Ponzi, right? They think the crypto assets is all a scam. They have not educated themselves. And clearly, world superpowers are moving towards adopting this technology. And I'm very curious to see how China rolls this out. And they're not going to be the only one. As I mentioned earlier, Japan, they're going to launch theirs, and every major country, I believe, will have their own version. And all of this is good for crypto. And again, like I said, for Japan, we want to see which blockchain this is built on. Maybe their own blockchain, but there's going to be many countries that are going to build on public blockchains, like Japan is building on Avalanche. So incredible news here. This is very bullish. And one of the things I wrote about last year in my newsletter was I believe China has been using Hong Kong, which it controls, as the testing ground for stablecoins, for ETFs and crypto and much more. One of the things I expect is for China to open up crypto ETF trading to mainland Chinese citizens. Why? Because it allows the capital to stay in the country. China has had a problem with capital leaving its countries. And if you put it in an ETF wrapper, it ain't going anywhere, right? It's not like they bought it, like people buy it on an exchange and then they can move the asset out the country. You can't do that with an ETF. It is in the wrapper. It's being reported to their version of the SEC, right? So this is where I believe the next move for China is to open up ETF. And it's just a matter of time. Anyone who bans this technology, they're writing their economic death sentence, because as I've been telling you guys, beating the drum, blockchain rails are going to power the governments, the economies, and the markets. That is the direction the puck is heading in. And I've often said over the years, we're headed to the token economy. tokenization of all assets. So including your fiat currency, right? So this is incredible, incredible news. So according to the sources, China's State Council will review and potentially approve a roadmap later in August to expand global use of the yuan. The plan reportedly includes steps to counter U.S. progress on stablecoins and guidelines for risk prevention. One use case for a potential yuan-backed stablecoin from mainland China would be the implementation of stablecoins for cross-border trade and payments with some countries. The issue is expected to be discussed at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit that will be held between August 31st and September 1st. Very interesting, folks. And, speaking of governments and central banks, today we got another Fed representative talking about crypto and stablecoins. Yesterday, I shared that Bowman was at the SALT conference, and she was talking about stablecoins as well as tokenization and much more. Well, look at this. Fed's Waller urges embrace of innovation as central banks FOMC discusses stablecoins. So together, the private sector and the Fed could help bolster the U.S. payment system, Waller said on Wednesday during the Wyoming Blockchain Symposium. Waller's comments came hours before the Fed released its minutes from a meeting in July where stablecoins were discussed. Again, do you see where the puck is heading? All the major central banks, all the main superpowers are involved here. So this is where, again, we are all invested. We want to make money, but you also have to have the macro view. And I've been telling you guys, I'm not just bullish and excited about this bull market and its blow off top, but also for the future bull markets, because these things are going to take time to be built and the rails and the setup. And I expect the crypto market cap to continue to grow. Potentially, we could reach $10 trillion by the time this thing hits a blow-off top this year or early next year. And then in the next bull market, could we see 30 trillion, right? Or 25 trillion or something like that? It's going to continue to grow, just like other asset classes. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. And in addition, you're seeing the convergence of many different technologies. You got AI, robotics, blockchain, stablecoins, crypto, and so forth. So very, very interesting times, folks. All right, folks, quick word from our sponsor, and that is Trezor. Trezor makes beautiful hardware wallets that make it easy for you to self-custody your crypto assets. And I'm a user of the Trezor Safe 5 device. It's a great hardware wallet, very easy to use. And I'm a big believer in self-custody. I have been saying for years, I keep the majority of my crypto assets in hardware wallets. And Trezor, they were the pioneers of crypto hardware wallets. They started the whole thing in 2013, and their hardware wallets are open source, and they support a variety of coins, all the top coins, Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, Solana, and even new coins like BlackRock's BUIDL. That's their tokenized money market fund. So you get support for a lot of tokens, and they have a great software called Trezor Suite, which helps you to manage all of this. And in addition, they have a hand-holding service, so you can speak to a Trezor rep to set up your device. Don't worry, they don't ask for your private keys, but if you have questions about setting it up, they can walk you through the process. So that's a great service, which many of the competitors don't offer. So once again, I'm a user of the Trezor Safe 5 device. And folks, if you use my code ThinkingCrypto, all one word, ThinkingCrypto, you can get 5% off your purchase of a device. So self-custody is the way, folks. So check out Trezor. Link will be in the description. Now, folks, today we got some big statements from Senator Cynthia Lummis about the Clarity Act, the market structure bill, and when that could pass in the Senate. We heard from David Sachs about a month ago, the White House crypto czar, saying that by the end of September, they're going to go through the different votes, to review the bill, to talk about it on the floor, the whole crazy process that they go through. And then I was saying that most likely this thing is going to pass in October because government never moves on time. We saw with the Genius Act, there was delays. Democrats will fight a bit, the whole dog and pony show, right? But we know it's going to get done, guys. The Genius Act passed, and now the market structure is up. And Senator Lummis speaking today at the SALT conference in Wyoming gave some big statements. Let me play the clip for you.
We go back to work in the Senate on September 3rd. We are working market structure with the goal of having it out of the Senate Banking Committee by the end of September. And then the Ag Committee, the Senate Ag Committee, hopefully will work their part of it, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission part of market structure, through the month of October. And we will have market structure to the president's desk before the end of the year. I hope it's before Thanksgiving. So that's our goal. So we will have market structure done this year. And
so big statements there. She said, we will have it done this year and hopefully before Thanksgiving. So again, government, they move slow. There's going to be a lot of back and forth. So, again, I've been saying, I believe the blow off top is coming in Q4. And I think this is going to be one of those major pillars. It's going to be huge for the market and have a lot of euphoria behind it, a lot of retail, a lot of mainstream coverage. And that's where we're going to be looking to exit the market if you are planning to take profits. So big update. I'm going to try to get someone from the Senate on the podcast, maybe Tim Scott, if not Senator Lummis, to talk about all these things. But it's going to be exciting. It's going to be an exciting Q4, guys. I'm really, really looking forward to it and the market continuing to move. Now, look at this. The Winklevoss twins donate $21 million in Bitcoin to a pro-Trump PAC ahead of U.S. midterms. So they are, of course, the Bitcoin billionaires. They were early investors. They founded the exchange Gemini, and they have made big donations to pro-crypto candidates, even in the recent election. So Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss, co-founders of the cryptocurrency exchange Gemini, said they had sent more than $21 million worth of Bitcoin to a political action committee with the express intention of helping U.S. President Donald Trump's crypto agenda with a Republican majority in Congress. In a Wednesday X post, Tyler Winklevoss said they contributed more than 188 Bitcoin, worth about $21 million at the time, to the Digital Freedom PAC. According to the Gemini co-founders, their goal with the contribution was to support President Trump and his administration efforts related to crypto policy by attempting to influence the 2026 U.S. midterm elections, support market structure legislation, and fight for other issues related to digital assets and blockchain. Here's a quote. The Digital Freedom Fund will work with similarly aligned pro-crypto groups and look to identify and support other issues, like the de minimis tax exemption for Bitcoin, which grants tax-free status to gains under a certain amount, and other crypto transactions that will unleash the potential of these technologies. Our industry in America, said the Winklevosses, and our private position will always be the same as our public position on these matters. So they are continuing to fight from a pro-crypto standpoint. We'll see how the midterms go. I don't think there's going to be a lot of Democrat pushback on this issue. I think crypto has won, right? Gary Gensler, Elizabeth Warren have been defeated. And there's a lot of pro-crypto Democrats out there now, many who voted to get legislation through. So yes, you're going to have your detractors, but the main ones are out. There was the guy in Ohio as well. His name escapes me, but he was like the general in the anti-crypto army. He's gone. So I don't think there's going to be much of a fight, but I could be wrong. But the Winklevoss twins are donating, getting ahead of it, trying to make sure that anybody who's anti-crypto does not win in the midterms. So very interesting. Now look at this news. Nasdaq to delist the BNB Treasury company Wintree Therapeutics for non-compliance. Now, I share this news not because it has anything to do with BNB as a token, but rather, as I've been highlighting, there are risks to these digital asset treasury companies and that we could see a blow up come the bear market. So you got to be careful. I'm not saying all are going to blow up. I'm not saying I want that to happen. I'm just saying, as a student of history and the financial markets, we've seen when too much leverage is used, and especially by a lot of parties, there's going to be some sort of blow up and liquidations, and not all of these companies are well run. I've made those statements, right? You're going to have companies that are poorly run, their CEO makes bad decisions or whatever it may be, and things are not going to happen. But very interesting that the Nasdaq here is delisting this company. And here's some details as to what may be the issue. The firm appears to have confirmed the exchange's concerns in a U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission filing on Wednesday, which shows the firm is non-compliant with Nasdaq listing rule 5550A2 that requires a company's stock to maintain a minimum bid price of $1 per share. So We'll see how this works out, but this is where we got to watch these digital asset treasury companies closely to see, which ones are making the right decision and which ones are not. Kraken and Backed expand tokenized stocks to Tron ecosystem amid RWA push. So many of these crypto exchanges are trying to tokenize stocks because they see where the puck's heading, right? And that everything will be tokenized. So on Wednesday, cryptocurrency exchange Kraken and tokenization platform Backed Finance announced an expansion of X stocks, a tokenized stock product offering to the Tron blockchain. The move comes as real-world asset tokenization, particularly within stocks, is taking hold. So according to the announcement, Backed will deploy the stocks as TRC20 tokens. Previously, Kraken and Backed launched X stocks on Solana and BNB chain. Debuted in late June 2025, X stocks has had more than $2.5 billion in combined DEX and CEX volume, according to a Kraken blog post. So the race is on here, folks, and competition is good for the consumer, of course. So there's going to be a lot of option. Coinbase is also looking to do the same thing. In addition, Kraken acquired Capitalized.ai as crypto companies buy AI startups. So Kraken's acquisition will add natural language trading automation to its pro platform as exchanges, miners, and analytics companies move aggressively into AI. So don't be surprised if you see AI features on crypto platforms and exchanges, even in wallets, that will help make things easier, can walk you through the process. So I think it's a good idea for them to do this because AI can really help a lot of people who are new to crypto. It can help the crypto curious, the people who still need hand-holding in the journey. So this is really great, and it can help automate some more things. And if you're looking to do some trading and whatever it may be, this is all good, great news. So big news on this front. Now, speaking of exchanges, today I published my interview with Sean Agrawal of Coinbase. He's the chief business officer, and we talked about the JP Morgan and PNC Bank partnership, which we recently heard about. They both selected Coinbase to do crypto services like trading and much more. So check out that interview. I published it this morning, guys. Great insight as to what these banks are doing, and two really big banks, obviously JP Morgan being the biggest. So things are heating up in the crypto space. Banks are all in, and they're going to launch stablecoins and trading and much more. So strap in. There's still the best is still yet to come in this market, folks. All right, folks, that's the news. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button. A great way you can support me in the podcast is by subscribing to my free email newsletter. It is 100% free, so check out the link in the description. Check out my book on Amazon. It's available in paperback and digital. And check out my course at mycryptocourse.com. This is a comprehensive course that teaches you everything about crypto. It is packed with tons of value. If you want to expand your knowledge about this technology and asset class, this is the course for you. So go to mycryptocourse.com. Folks, thank you so much for watching and listening. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.